Alrighty. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Wheeler's Minis and another wonderful episode of Mini Paint and Chill. I'm Mini Paint and you chill. If you notice that I'm a little not lit today, it's because my light's down more to hopefully help my eyes. Yeah. Today we're working on the lovely character that I set the video out for yesterday, Calla Whisperfeet. She is a Halfling rogue that I made using Eldritch Foundry, and I'm very excited to paint her. Probably gonna get her fully done within the 2-hour time frame that we have, if not extremely close. Just because she's gonna have some pretty simple paint jobs. I would say pretty common for what the colors you would expect are. But before I get started with that, a few quick things to get out of the way. One, if you aren't already following the channel, please do. If you're watching this on YouTube, hi YouTube, please subscribe. It's free to do. It'd mean the world to me. I've got so much content for you to watch. It's crazy. I do this painting stuff twice a week usually. Although that schedule is a little wonky just because I've had a lot of things happen recently. So normally it's twice a week, but who knows? Let's see. Follow me on all my socials at Wheeler's Minis on pretty much everything. If you'd like to financially support me, you can do so via purchasing something off my website, sharing my website, sharing any of my pages. That would mean the world to me. I am still kind of working on building the company as a whole. So any sharing and financial help is greatly appreciated. Not expected, but greatly appreciated. But yeah, I think that's it for me. So I'm gonna work on her. It's gonna be a lot of like browns and blacks. I really want to work with the colors I have that I got from the Squidmar paint sets, which are all Vallejo colors. I'm trying to do better at using all of the things that I have because I've been very bad at that in the past. So we're gonna do that. But yeah, she's a pretty simple character. Again, she's gonna have a lot of browns and blacks. I am actually gonna do this dagger as kind of like a green motif since it's a dagger of venom. And yeah, we're just gonna work on her and see where we get. Her face is gonna be an interesting thing to work on as well, just because it is very, very hooded underneath said hood. But we're gonna make it work. We're gonna figure it out. So, first things first, got these metallics. The dark sea blue is what I'm gonna base the dagger of venom in. I want a good dark. Oh, this is dark rust by Vallejo. So we're gonna start with this. Honestly, what I should start doing is, before I paint, one of the things I don't like about Vallejo is that they don't come with mixing wells pre-installed, which is kind of annoying. Especially because I have not used these as much, and that is my fault. But it makes it so that the paint kind of doesn't mix very well. So what I think I'm going to do with her is get kind of like all of the base colors down. And then highlight up, and then probably go over with a glaze of some kind. But we'll see. I also need to get better at using all the brushes that I have. There's a lot of brushes that just don't get used very often. Let's see, for her, I'm really about using this size 2 Da Vinci miniature Maestro brush to use. I can't talk recently because it's just a good brush. That's a good dark brown. So again, we're just kind of gonna work with getting her base coated right now, which means that all the leather bits are gonna get this nice dark brown. Because what I'm probably gonna do with the leather is paint it brown, highlight it brown, and then go over with like a black glaze. Hopefully darken it up a bit. The colors. Living in a very dry area means that a humidifier is paramount in making sure that paint stays wet on the brush. And for this, we're just starting out with dark rust. Moving our way up. She has some gloves on. Not have a lot of skin showing, which is fine. So the detail's really nice on this. Worked around with some of the support settings in Hager's slicer. Or pretty good. I'm pretty sure that she's wearing gloves. I could be wrong. And this will be good practice for me because I don't paint creatures this small all too often, so having the opportunity to do this on a character like this is be fun. Yeah, she's just gonna be a lot of browns and blacks and fun colors befitting a halfling rogue. I'll even try some of like the grimdark shades that I got from the John Blanche set. We'll get there when we get there. Maybe give her black boots just to break up the monotony of the brown. Black belt. Looks like she's wearing gloves. Wearing fingerless gloves, maybe. Oh, there's a nice, like, very deep, dark brown. Almost so dark that it just doesn't cover, or it doesn't show against the black background. Which I guess is kind of the point. Blue.
kind of hard to see to start with again because I'm just starting so dark with the colors. But that's honestly, again, fine. I might do a different brown for the leather of like the straps. Just to help differentiate the two. We did. Oh. A little bit of dark green on the poison effect on this. Give it a good base color. You know what? Chromatic blacks are always cooler than flat blacks, so we're gonna do a green based black, kind of go with this poisoning motif. So we'll get black over it at the end. But a green base is gonna give it a nice little added touch. Honestly, this is a really nice green tone to like use as a base tone. I really like it. I don't know why I haven't used it more. Yeah, we'll go back over this with the black at the end. Use as like a glaze. Honestly, the inside doesn't really need to be colored green. It's definitely in shadow. I'll probably get it on the come around to get the glaze in there. But just to be safe, like on these close areas around here where you can kind of see some of it,
Good idea just to get the color in there.
Back to dark rust for a second so I can. Oh, watery. Again, kind of the whole motif for this is
Sneaky.
green. Red-based black in there. Would go well with the leather.
Do burnt red.
And it came with 2 burnt reds. That's funny. This is more. Well, honestly, though, actually. Starting out really dark, and then we're going to move our way up slightly. Very cool tone red, which is what we want for darker colors. Almost purple, but it's definitely red toned. We're just having fun with it. Let's see how it turns out in the end. Again, most of this is going to get a kind of a black glaze wash on it. on the blood splatter down here. Start it off. This or good. So this mix is just a little bit of burnt red and that evil red put together. I think it's just going to show up a little bit better. It's still red toned, obviously, to be complementary to the green on the back. But it'll just help the leather show a little bit more evenly. I'm not completely blind as to what's going on with it. And it'll have a matching point on the model. Okay, now to figure out what I want to do with paste rim done real quick. All right. Gotta figure out what color cloth I want her to have. I'm pretty sure I just want it to be like just having it be black isn't that bad of an idea. I also gotta get her skin tone in there. Work on that. Let's see what browns I have that I can work with. Green. Parasite brown. Got the dark rust color, which I don't want to use. Dark flesh tone, no. Go with mahogany. Just to kind of get the dark motif continued. And then we'll go over this with a speed paint. Dark wood. And then hit with a highlight real quick and should be it. Doesn't really need too much. Almost done base coating her. Honestly, the part of it that's needs to be the least fun because you're not really working on anything particularly. You're just kind of working on getting your colors on there. And sometimes that can be a little boring. But it's a necessary step, and hopefully base coat that we did will give us a good foundation for what we want to do with her. And we can just go back over, recolor the rim in places where it might have gotten touched by that work. Now to figure out how I want to, this is the issue. I guess starting out with the same base note, changing it from there isn't necessarily just that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna base the leather of the blade in the same color as the rest of the leather, but we're gonna change it as it moves up. And this one, metal. I'm gonna keep that black. But this one, I am going to just do evil red on the hilt. It has a little gem in the hilt that I'm probably going to make a ruby. I guess I'll do this one as a ruby as well. Oh no, ruby! Ruby! Metal, leather. Probably. Oh, that's fine. Okay. We did dark green. Guess now we can start mixing in our. Well, hold on. God, I'm so frazzled. All right, we need to get some skin tone on her. And those can stay black. They're just gonna be black. We're gonna do that color, so we're gonna move up via cool browns, which is just the brown family. Do that, and then warm browns, so ruddy browns on the boots. And the leather, we're just going to go up on the leather the way that it normally would. Do these colors. Skin tone. I guess we'll start just with dark flesh tone. Or I think maybe I have a shadow flesh. Hold on. We're gonna go with advanced flesh tone. Run the Ben Comet signature series from Procryl. It's gonna be satin, but it's a nice, like, kind of just under mid-tone that I think will look nicely on her, at least for the parts that we can see of her flesh. Her face. And this will get hit with a flesh wash. Gonna help darken it back up. Oops. Probably should have done this first and then worked on everything else, but it's no worries. We can always just go back and thing.
that's everything based. All right, now we will move up. So, although I might hit the forgot I changed grade too. That would have been good. I want to hit up the cloth bits with satin black, just to give it a little bit more depth. Also by Procrail, part of the Adepticon set, but this should just bring a little bit of depth to the color because it is a satin. So most of the paints that you will deal with more often than not will have a matte finish to them. But on some occasions, like this one, and for some companies, they prefer to use a satin finish in their paints. And it can give a really nice depth of color without too much extra work. That's what we're doing here, is just taking out some of those places where there's that kind of cloth or undergarment underneath the armor. I'm just hitting that with this satin black. So we're probably not going to do too much with that area, just keep it black. It doesn't hurt just to paint it a little bit now. Back and clean anything up that might have gotten hit by it on accident. All right. Now we can move on to start highlighting. So I'm going to start with the cloak. For this, I'm going and using some Cayman Green, which is part of the Squidmar fantasy set, I believe. Yep. Completely covering my fingers in it. Hands off. So we're gonna mix this with that dark green. Probably mostly dark green with just a little bit of this for the cloak. For the poison though, it's probably just gonna be straight up that Cayman Green. But for the cloak, I want mostly dark green with just kind of like a little bit, because I don't want to go too high up.
just want to move up slightly and start to paint where the light is naturally going to hit. Here, it's getting in the way. Let me get long again. We want some contrast in this, but we don't want so much that it detracts from other things. So we're just kind of slowly working this color on in more places than you would think, but still just enough to kind of show off the lighting of it. I'm probably not going to go too much above this value. Again, kind of hitting where the light would hit, making sure to connect them in a way that makes sense. Doing this as if looking from top down, because that is where she's going to be lit from, just because that is the easiest lighting for her, especially since, again, we're going for sneaky. And don't believe right away what the color's telling you. It's always going to dry a little bit darker than what you see. But if you're worried about it, you can always go back with the second coat just to waylay any worries you have about coverage, which is also just a good habit to get into, especially if you paint with thinner paints. Obviously the too thin coats method has been around for a very long time, so and then as you paint up, you're just going to do less and less and less of the color. That should give you a kind of natural progression of highlight. So this is going to be different though, because while we are being lit from above, take some of that color and highlight it in a way that's actually brighter than the cloak. And the reason for that is specifically because it's a liquid, so light is going to pass through it relatively easily. So it's going to get highlighted almost the exact same as where the light is hitting it directly. Just a little bit darker though, because obviously as light passes through something, even a liquid, it dissipates. Case in point, if you ever go scuba diving, you can see the light down to a certain point, but after a certain point, you won't be able to see it anymore. So that's kind of what we're doing right here. It's going to be very bright at the end, but we're going to highlight it. So excuse me. All right, now we're going to start working on the leather. Which I really didn't want to use any of my army painter stuff, but I feel like I'm going to have to. There isn't really a lot of color here that would work well for what I want it to do. Parasite brown, which I guess could work. And deck tan, which could work for the coolness. But I think being able to use colors is important in this, so that's what we're gonna do. So we're gonna start with, and again, everything's kind of getting, or most of it's getting like a black wash over it. So we're gonna start with Brigandine Brown from the Fanatic set. And that'll be our, like, I wouldn't say mid-tone, but it'll be our next shadow up. Same rule of thumb though for the cloak. Doing it where the light seems to hit the most. Doing our best to make sure that the shadows are left darker. On the armor.
gonna go with the only thing I'm worried about is that this is gonna be the same color or too dark. This is Banshee Brown from the John Blanche set. Not the same color. Weirdly enough. Nice way though. So far she's looking pretty good. When we get past that ugly stage, they're gonna hit it at some point when you're painting and you're gonna be like, this looks bad, I want to start over. But keep painting, and then if you feel that way, you should. But there is a stage in which it just doesn't look as good as you want it to, and you kind of have to persevere through it to get to the point that you want to be at with it. All right, and then from burnt red, we'll go to gory red, blood. So sure that it's set apart. Get some of that evil red and then a little bit of that gory red. Give me a nice rich tone.
Blood red ruby. Ruby.
A little bit of flush wash.
Or just enough. We'll see. That's the color one. Green. Right. And we continue moving up. Would be the last one we move up in this color. Bit lost in the coloring. For this one, you're going to focus on putting it where the light's hitting the most. I might keep it that green though. It looks pretty good like that. I don't know. We'll see. We got time. Oh, and I forgot to do the we're doing warm brown. Differentiate between this. Alright, and then go up to oak and bootstrap. Again, just starting to hit like the very, very thin points of where the light's hitting the most. Hitting the edges as well. Saw something the other day that really stuck with me. It's, we're not trying to paint the most realistic things when we're painting minis. We're just trying to paint things that are believable. So even if it's a weird and wacky color combo, if it's believable in the scope of where it's going to be on a table, then you're doing great. We see all these people who are painting hyper realistic, and it's gorgeous. But for common everyday use, it's just not having, display quality miniatures on your table is a luxury. And that's not to say that you can't have them. Because if that's what you want at your table, that's what you want at your table. But I think it's a good reminder sometimes to, if you are a painter, to just look at yourself and go, what is this believable for what I'm doing at my table for my players, or at my table for my DM, etc. Because if it's not, then you're kind of missing the point of painting. I paint models in a manner of which I look at it and I go, yep, that's something that I would put on the table, and it would make sense that it was a part of my world. That idea may be different for other people. My models may be not enough of what people want, or they may be too much. You just got to remember to paint to what is believable in the world in which you are putting these models on. The other thing is too, if you're watching this and you don't have models on the table, that's also okay, you know. We get spoiled by popular media at times to make it seem like having models makes your table like a premier table to be at. It really doesn't. You know, I enjoy painting, which is why there are models at my table. If I did not enjoy painting, I probably would still have models. I would just have far less of them. Again, kind of going into that idea of like what's believable in your world. What kind of story you're trying to tell. Yeah, she's starting to look pretty good. Like I said, once you get past that kind of ugly phase, you really start to see the vibrancy of a model. Now we're going to oak brown. Just starting to work, really focusing on the most lit areas of the model. We want to start to drive home, you know, that belief that this model is in a space where the light would be showing off these pieces of their armor and things like that. Sorry, sometimes it takes me a while to finish a sentence just because I'm in the middle of doing something that's requiring my attention. It's a little bit difficult to edge highlight when you start to paint things that are really, really tiny, so just take your time, be careful. Be purposeful and succinct with why you're painting what you're painting. Alright. Next up is Scorpy Green. Then Lime Green. Honestly, having a lot of fun painting her. She's been, oddly enough, a nice just little reprieve from normal things that I've been doing, so. Go up one more.
So she still is very much in my comfort zone. Alright, we're gonna go leather brown. I think for this we're gonna mix it a little bit with the bootstrap so it doesn't get too bright, because the jump from bootstrap to leather tends to be a little too intense for me. Do one. And now we're starting to like really focus on just the highest points. Got paint that's thinned down enough. And this is also where we're going to start using more edge highlights and things like that. What happened? Sorry for the loud noise.
think I also forgot to the color on the. Boy, I'm gonna have to get the metal on there, but for now it's still good. Straight up. Top part. And then next up is the ancient. Oh yeah. Alright. Looking good so far. Might not get her done. Got 25 minutes though, so we'll see how it goes. Alright, and then lastly, Scarlet Blood. flesh tone is on. Covered pretty well. Start working with that.
wooden base a little bit. I can start working on our flesh a little bit to end out. The only reason I'm going so high in contrast right here is because I am going to put a speed paint on the bottom, which is dark wood. And what that's going to do is just completely turn this into a nice, beautiful wooden texture. So we're going straight to drab brown by Procryl on here to kind of accentuate a little bit more the already nice detail that's on the base. And the higher contrast you have painted on, generally speaking, the better speed paints and contrast paints will work. So honestly, what I might do is just go post this, just go straight up to dark ivory. And then where did I use this one yet? Oh. Using all the paints I haven't used today. And then I might mix this a little bit with the drab brown. Just to get a bit of a lighter tone. So same thing. Just light scratches to help accentuate the wooden texture. And we're going to hit this up with dark wood speed paint. Hopefully it should accent it nicely. Being light with it right now. Again, don't want it too heavy, just want it to kind of help accentuate the already great detail that's on the base. Right. I missed the belt. I missed the belt with this. Let me do a little bit of transparent black mixed with a little bit of transparent brown. See if I like that combo on it, because it's already looking pretty good. I don't want to ruin it. Honestly, that kind of green black I really do like. But I'm just going to do this on a small section. So we're going to take a little bit of black, a little bit of brown. Dark, transparent, that brown. Don't mind that. That's what we're good with. Darken it up very nicely. Glaze this over everything. This one has a little bit of a different mix. It's because the leather's different, so it shows off its brownness a little bit more. sense.
She's looking pretty good. And a little bit of face coloring. Again, to make sure that we don't go too bright too quickly, take some of that reincorporated flesh tone, mix it with bright shadow flesh, get a just slightly lighter color. Implement that into face. Just a little bit. Not too much, but just what's kind of gonna be lit in some, even some small way. And if I don't like it, I can always go back over it later to fix it. I think right now it is looking pretty good. And then really, all that's left is ugh. Lime green. That. That's our venom. More in mix. All right.
Cool beans. She's looking pretty good. She's almost done, honestly. Just a few more things. I thought I'd be able to get her done, but I always forget that I'm unfortunately very focused on detail at times. So the last thing we're going to do before we end is we're going to take some... It's a day. Angle here. Drink of that. Ground down here. Rust up here. This metallic that I didn't use at all up here. Green down here. Dark red, of which I have two, which I think is hilarious. There. Alright, we're just gonna go ahead and take some of this. There we go. Boop. Some dark wood. Honestly, I'm gonna put some water in there though. This. Hello.
I got you a present.
A present. Give me one moment, because I'm literally just about to end. I'm just finishing up on this. You want to come look at her though? She's not done yet, but she's mostly completed.
Hell yeah, she looks cool.
Very dark tones.
I know you.
Someone also said, hey, chromatic blacks are cooler than regular blacks, so I painted this green kind of mixed with some of the colors.
Hell yeah. I do think you should go over the skin tone of the bunny girl one more time. He's purple.
I mean,
He's
she's...
light up.
Well, she's gonna be like that. Like, I'm doing multiple coats of skin tone. That's her base skin tone now. You're just sitting there.
Well, yeah, I said I got you a present.
You don't get to see it. That's it for today. I'll be back on what's today, Tuesday? Today's Tuesday. I'll be back on Thursday. She'll be done. You'll see pictures of it. Follow me on my socials. Thanks for hanging out. Bye, gang. Have a great night.